Over a 25-year period from 1921 to 1946, Astra assembled approximately 105,000 Model 400s. About a third of those ended up with the Spanish military, smaller quantities with the Navy, with the Carabineros, and of course most people here are familiar with the 6,000-piece German contract that was delivered during World War II. For the most part, the guns were all configured as per the example on your left. They had a shallow half-moon front sight, a little nubbin of a rear sight. Astra is very proud that these were all triple safety guns. There was a frame-mounted safety on the left side of the frame, a grip safety, and a magazine safety. They were all single-action blowbacks with a heel-mounted magazine release. But near the end of production, in the early to mid-1940s, and then trickling on a little bit afterwards, Astra assembled a handful of very special target pistols. So let's move the standard gun aside and now look at the target variation. Then and now, shooters have always been petitioning for a lighter trigger pull, and especially target shooters. So to address that need, Astra mounted this little hypersensitizing button on the left side of the frame. Basically, it's to disengage the normal operating apparatus and allow the pistol to function as a single shot with a hair trigger. So let's take a look at how it works. So Astra is very proud. All of these guns were traditional, as I mentioned, triple safety guns. So I'm going to rack the slide back. Okay. And I've dropped the magazine a little bit so that this function will just be a little smoother for purposes of the video. So now I'm going to, the magazine is in. Again, magazine safety is engaged. I'm going to be pressing on the grip safety. The frame safety is off. The slide's been racked. I'm going to pull the trigger and nothing happens. So what we need to do is we need to push on this button and listen for this click. There we go. Now the sear engages with the hammer. We can push on the trigger, and it's a very, very light trigger pull, maybe a pound or so. Very, very different than the 3 to 4 pound trigger pull customarily found on military pistols. So the gun fires, the slide racks back. It's now back into position. We pull the trigger again. Nope, nothing happens. Again, before every shot, you have to push in on this hair trigger button, and then the gun will fire. Ingenious. Let's take a look at the inside of the frame so we can get a better look at how this hypersensitivity button operates. So I've now dismounted the gun in the usual fashion. You can tell that this is an original rust-blued gun. The internals are in the white, and as a special target gun, they seem to have been unusually well polished by the factory. The slide is racked back as part of this process, so you can see that the hammer is in its rearward position. So normally what I'd like to do is I'd put the magazine in, because again, this is a triple safety gun. We pull the trigger and nothing happens. So in this particular gun, as mentioned, you have to depress the button in order to fire the weapon. So now I can pull the trigger and the hammer will fire. And let's take a closer look at the hammer right here. So this part of the hammer looks pretty normal, and we're going to flip the gun around and look at that. See, this part of the hammer has been drilled with a hole that accepts a little internal plunger. Now the lighting here is a little bit difficult. I don't know if we'll be able to see that, but this is a spring-loaded pin that's got a little post that sticks through that will keep the hammer in its rearward position upon recoil. There it is. So the hammer will not be allowed to move forward unless we push that forward. Now there's just a very minimal sear engagement, and you can fire it, which brings the hammer forward. Pretty ingenious, isn't it?